So in this video, we are going to be creating our different grid items and working with our grid. So I've already created and set up a little playground or sandbox for our grid here. We've pretty much adopted the same style as the flexbox here, using all of our different widths and heights and all these different blocks. But I encourage you, when you're doing this on your own, to go ahead and experiment around, maybe use some different items. I'm just doing this because it's easy for demonstrations. Alright, so let's get started. Pretty much grid and flexbox have very similar ways of activation. They both use a display type or the display property to set or activate the container. Now the only difference is the property the value that needs to be used to activate these, which is fairly obvious. So let's get started. First of all, we need to put it on the container. Remember, we're not working with the items, we're working with the container as a whole. So all I need to do, similar to how we created our flex container, instead of saying flex box or grid box or whatever, all we have to do is type in grid. And what this will do is set up our grid container. Let's go ahead and refresh. And you can see that although, it may not appear that nothing has changed, we have activated a whole range of properties that we can now use on our grid here to set up everything and start creating our grid. Now you'll notice that when we set up our flexbox, so many different things changed, but with our grid, we actually need to go through and set up the grid by ourselves, which is what the whole manual element where the whole manual element comes in, is we have to go and create our grid and sort of shape it in a way that suits our needs. Alright, so that's pretty much it for creating the grid. Now I know this wasn't a very heavy video, but there are going to be a lot more concepts that we're going to need to learn in the future. So this is quite an easy video, just setting up the grid. And now that we've done the easy part, we're going to go through and start learning some of the more difficult parts of CSS grid. Alright, let's move on.